Welcome to Revolution Motherhood Fundamentals. I'm Rachel Welch, and I'm so happy you're here. This is the beginning of an incredible journey and a gift that you are giving to yourself. We're going to dive right in. We are going to begin with some breath work. Breath is one of the best ways to activate your core muscles. One of the things that happens when you've been pregnant is that obviously everything gets pushed out. Once the baby is out, your body doesn't necessarily know that it can pull itself back in again. Okay, we're going to teach it to do that right now. That act is activating what is called your transverse abdominal muscles. It's your deepest core muscles. It's a corset that starts in your spine and wraps around you and forms your waist. Your transverse abdominal muscles are the first place of rehabilitation we're going to be going to. From there, we're going to start to build out onto your rectus abdominis, your six-pack, your inner and outer or oblique muscles. So all of these core muscles we want working together. This breath work is an excellent way to start to rehabilitate anything that might be going on in your abdomen, whether you have a little bit of abdominal separation, a little pelvic organ prolapse, or even just some aches and pains. This is a really nice way to just start to relax the musculature from your chest all the way down to the bottom of your pelvis. Okay, so it's going to look like this. You're going to take one hand to your low belly, one hand to your rib cage, and when you breathe in, I want you to try to push your hands out and away from your body. As you exhale, I want you to try to pull your hands back in. It's like the skin of your abdomen is pulling back closest to your spine. Okay, so you're going to do that a few times. It might feel a little bit forced at first, and that's totally normal. So you're going to breathe in, exhale, pull the belly back as you push the air out. I'm going to do this with you. Ready? 3 rounds. Big breath in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. One more time. Big breath in. Exhale. Notice if the breath wanted to stay kind of stuck up in your chest, or if it felt like it didn't quite want to go all the way down to your lowest hand. This is very normal. It takes practice. Over the weeks, it's going to become more natural for you, okay? Now we're going to do what's called some abdominal pumps. If that just rhythm of breathing is feeling a little bit sticky for you, you don't quite get the coordination yet, I want you to stay with deep, full breaths where you're just trying to activate your abdominal wall and pull it back with your exhale. If you feel like you can do that, then you're going to move on and try these abdominal pumps with me right now. We're going to do 20 of them. It's going to be through the mouth, and it's forceful, okay? You're going to breathe in, and it's going to look like this 20 times. And breathe in. Exhale. Try that one more time. Just ride that energy. Exhale. Take a moment to notice what has shifted, if anything. Notice what you might be feeling in your trunk, behind your throat, maybe even your face and in your head. Okay? That's the beginning of the gateway into your abdominal muscles, and we're going to take it the next step now. You're going to take your seat away from you, and grab your roller and lie down on it, okay? So first you're going to position your roller lengthwise. You're going to come down to the end and have a seat, okay? Use your hands to help to support yourself. You want to sit down at the very end of the roller, and then you're going to control this journey down. Now, if you're dealing with an abdominal separation, you are generally going to stay away from lying down and sitting up in that jackknife position. This is the one place we're going to do it, though, and you're going to use your hands to support yourself so you're not putting undue pressure on your abdomen. From there, I want you to get nice and comfy. You're going to feel like the roller is kind of right along your spine from your tailbone to the base of your head, and you're just going to rock yourself a little bit from side to side. It's kind of like your spine falls to the right and then to the left, and to the right and to the left. This just feels good. This is a wonderful way to start to unwind tight muscles, tight fascial tissue, and your overstressed nervous system, okay? And take some nice deep breaths. Just let yourself be rocked and get grounded. Breathe into your feet, breathe into your shoulders, your jaw, anywhere you need some extra love. From here, you're going to settle out into one line right on your spine. You're going to take both of your hands down to your lowest belly. My index fingers, middle fingers are almost touching my pubic bone, and the edges of my hands are touching my inner hip bones. These are your lowest abdominal muscles, and we're going to start to try to turn them on from the inside out. It's going to begin with a Kegel. You're going to breathe all the way down into your pelvic floor the way we were just doing when you were seated. And as you exhale, I want you to try to turn on the Kegel. That means you're making a contraction from your pubic bone all the way back to your tailbone and from inner sit bone to inner sit bone. So it becomes kind of like a weave of muscle all the way from the pelvic floor that pulls up. I want you to notice if you're trying to do a Kegel if other things start to try to grip. Very common for hip flexors to try to grip, your butt, your jaw maybe your ribs start to jut up like this. We want to stay nice and calm and settled in the body and just gather the strength of the pelvic floor. It takes practice. Give yourself some time, explore, look for it. If you can turn it on 1 out of 10 times, that is success, okay? It is about relaying neural pathways right now. We're getting your brain talking to muscles that it hasn't talked to in a long time. So be patient with yourself. You're doing a great job. From here, big breath in. Exhale, pelvic corridor, pulling in as you exhale. And now, what I just said, the corridor, you're going to start to look for something a little bit higher up than your Kegel, okay? So you have the contraction of the pelvic floor. Now I want you to think about a tunnel, maybe even the birth canal, like the very center of your trunk, traveling all the way up to your rib cage. So when the Kegel turns on, can you also find this tunnel of contraction coming up through the middle of your body? So I'm going to take my hands away so you can actually see what happens on my abdomen when I do it. It's going to be a big breath into my pelvic floor. I'm expanding my rib cage, and as I exhale, I'm going to pull up the pelvic floor and now into my corridor, pulling in the pelvic corridor, pulling in the pelvic corridor. It feels like a center of, like a gravitational center, tightening in on itself all the way up into my rib cage. And then I'm going to release. What I'm actually turning on is my transverse abdominals. But the image of this pelvic corridor tightening in through the center of your body kind of grounds and gives you a point of contact through the rest of the movements that we're going to be exploring. So 3 more times like that, pelvic corridor contractions. Big breath in, exhale, and just tighten and hold, tighten and hold. And again, breathing in, exhaling, pelvic corridor. From there, you're no longer going to be able to breathe down into your low belly. We're going to be using those muscles. You're going to relegate your breath to the upper chest. Hands down to your low belly. Now you're going to try to use your external abdominal muscles, these muscles right underneath your hands, to roll your pubic bone up just a couple inches and then roll it down again. Roll it up a couple inches and roll it down again. What we're doing is mobilizing the bowl of your pelvis. And we're doing it from very specific muscles, not from the back. Right? If you feel your tailbone area gripping, I want you to take a breath, relax, and then reattack from up in here. Again, rolling up, rolling back down, rolling up, rolling back down. Again, this sort of work takes time, so be sweet with yourself. Look for it, explore. This is about you becoming embodied, right? Not about getting it perfect every time. It's about getting to know yourself every time. 3 more times. Big breath in. Exhaling, rolling up, rolling down, rolling up, rolling down. Last one. And pause. You're going to settle yourself into a nice neutral pelvis. Take another big breath in, all the way down into the low belly. Exhale, pull it all back up and together. And I want you to notice that you are essentially in a plank pose on your back right now. And we're going to talk about this plank alignment a lot more. But for now, just start to notice that you have a nice neutral pelvis. You have space between your hip bones and your rib cage. Your ribs are settled down. Notice if they're trying to jut up like this, you're going to settle that rib cage down. And now you're going to start to free your arms off of this stable platform. Your fingers are pointing towards the ceiling, and I want you to just start to draw some circles. What we're doing is digging the roller into what's called your rhomboids. It's the muscles between your shoulder blades. Your shoulder blades float around on your back, and we want to open up their mobility as much as possible. They help you relate to the rib cage muscles, to the transverse abdominal muscles, and ultimately to a stable functional core, all right? So they play a big part. We want to get the movement of your arms disconnected from your neck, which I know that the neck and the top of your shoulders are trying to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you these days. Good. So we're going to take some breaths, relax, open up. Remember where the arms are meant to move from. You're going to feel some space opening up in your armpits. Right? This is the gateway to your lats, which are the back muscles. Good. A couple more times in both directions. And now we're going to find some really strong mobility. So I want you to, again, find this plank pose. You're going to zip up through the middle belly. Remember your transverse abdominals, your pelvic corridor, your ribs are nice and steady. From there, you're going to take your arms up by your ears and try to keep your shoulder blades against the roller at the same time without losing contact with the ribs. Don't let the ribs spray up. Keep them down, nice and steady. Free neck. Take your arms all the way down by your hips now. And again, all the way up alongside of your head. This should feel like some work up through your abdomen. It should feel good in the arms. It should feel really good in the neck. It should feel like if you kept going, your abdominal muscles would get really tired. Okay, 2 more. All the way down, all the way up. 1 more time, all the way down by your hips, all the way up alongside of your ears. And now this time, open your arms out nice and wide. You're going to make tents with your fingertips. Drop them down to the ground. So I kind of have a V with my arms coming out of my shoulders. I'm going to drop my head off of the right side of the roller, turn and look over my shoulder. Just let the roller create a stretch for you. Feels really good. Take it over to the other side. Take a breath, turn, look over, be gentle with yourself. Nothing is twisting. Notice if your hips want to twist in this, keep it all nice and steady. Right? This is training your waist to create stability for you again. From here, you're going to refine your center, you're going to lengthen your right leg, and you're just going to roll off the roller to the right side. From there, you're going to roll back onto your back, take the roller, and you're going to slip it behind your pelvis. So that means that it's going to come back here. You're going to get feet underneath your knees, lift your hips, slide the roller right up behind your hips. Okay? The roller is on your sacrum. It's right underneath the back of your pelvis, not on your spine, not on your tailbone, and a place where you feel nice and supported and stable. From there, you're going to get your shoulder blades nice and open and down to the ground. And then one at a time, bring one knee up and then the other. So this is a little bit shaky rocky, right? The roller kind of wants to roll away from you. You're going to learn how to stabilize yourself here from the core. So this is going to turn very quickly into some good core work. You're going to start, again, with the pelvic corridor and your breath. So nice big breath in. Exhale, pelvic corridor is going to zip, 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 zip all the way up into your rib cage. Now I want you to check in. Where's your pelvis in space? Have you over-tucked to try to hold yourself up? Or can you find neutral again? Remember that upside down plank pose? Here we are again. Pubic bone to sternum, nice long line. You're zipped up. Now we're going to take our hands into our thighs and our thighs into our hands. That means I'm actively pushing my legs in and pushing my hands into my thighs at the same time. Notice if that makes your hip flexors grip up a lot, what we're going for is taking that tension and putting it instead into the middle of your belly. Okay, so explore what that might look like. Little subtle cue. Can you think about your butt bones coming away from each other? It'll help kind of loosen that grip of the hip flexors, loosen that grip of the pelvic floor, and let you grip on the inside instead. Okay? Take a big breath in. Exhale, zip everything up. And now, one more time, we're going to isolate the pelvis and roll the pubic bone up and roll it down. The roller is going to feel like it's just rocking a little bit, forward and back, forward and back. I'm very actively stabilizing my knees from my core. I've got my shoulder blades nice and wide against the ground. My ribs are hugging into each other. And again, I'm isolating and activating the muscles from my pubic bone to my belly button to my rib cage. At first, this is going to feel like just sort of an internal movement. It's going to be difficult to stabilize your knees. Totally normal. It's going to be like your knees are going to want to rock like this back and forth. Totally normal. We're going to do 5 more here. You're looking to stabilize yourself as much as possible, and over the weeks, that's going to get better and better. Okay? Last 2. Last one. Pause with a neutral pelvis. Long pubic bone, ribs down. You're going to bring your legs together. Relax your shoulders. Now, holding from your waist, knees from side to side. This is an important moment. Your waist stabilizes your hips. The hip muscles have gotten used to stabilizing your hips for themselves, kind of. You want your waist now doing that work. So I want you to see that my hips are being freed. All that hip pain, it's being unwound right now because my waist is doing its job to stabilize and create this motion. Okay? We're going to pause with your knees over towards your left hip. It's like there's a little hula hoop around your waist. There's a give and a take, and I'm drawing little circles with my knees. This feels really good on the hip, and it also feels like some nice core work. I'm turning things on, right? Remember, this part of the workout is not about burning out. We're getting to burning out. Right now, we are rehabilitating, turning on lost muscles, unwinding the over-tense ones. March your knees up and down, up and down. Just your left knee is gonna move now. Your right leg is stable, and you're gonna try to draw circles with just the left leg. It's gonna feel a little funny sometimes, right? You're asking the high rotators of inside of your hip socket to work. Take a breath, come back. If your roller has rolled away a little bit like mine, you're just gonna lift your hips, bring it back up, and come back into it. Knees over to the right, again, stabilizing from the waist. There's kind of a push and a pull from right behind my belly button where my fingertips are. You're working around on that right hip. Then we're gonna march those knees up and down, breathing, opening up. This should feel really good. Notice if the knees are trying to grip a little bit. See if you can relax the muscles around the knees and work from the hip. Circles around on the right side. Circles, circles, circles. Just the right leg is moving, the left leg is stable. Good. And then you're gonna come back up through center again. Big breath in, one foot comes down to the ground. From here, I want you to see if you can even out the hips, okay? So you're gonna draw yourself down. You can even look down, see if your hip bones are nice and steady. You're gonna take a big breath into your pelvic corridor and zip it up as you exhale, and then you're gonna switch your legs. See if you can do it again. Big breath in, stabilize your hips, everything is nice and neutral, upside down plank pose, switch your legs. Now what we're going for is bypassing the hip flexors and getting the core basically lifting the weight of your legs. My leg muscles, even though they could be doing this work, are not. Legs are as relaxed as possible, okay? If you have an extra wide diastasis, more than 3 fingers, you can start from the ground with both feet and just start by trying to lift, okay? Once you feel like you can activate that, then you can also join in with this alternating leg work, okay? Take a big breath in. From here, both legs are gonna come up. You're gonna create one leg out of 2, relax your calves and your feet. I'm in an upside down plank pose one more time, zipping everything in. I'm just gonna hinge both feet down a couple of inches and back up again. Both feet down a couple of inches and back up again. I'm using breath, I'm using my pelvic corridor, and I'm pulling my belly back in every time my legs come up. Again, if this is too challenging for you, if you feel like your belly is poofing out to create stability, I want you to stop, reset, pull the belly back in, and then re-attack. We have 5 more. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, breathing, 4, and 5. Really nice. Both feet down to the ground. You're gonna lift your hips up, roll the roller below your glutes, drop your hips down, go ahead and lengthen your legs out. We're gonna open and close, and then take the roller down a few inches. We're working down the backs of your hamstrings. I know they get extra tight, right? Especially if you've been doing any walking, sitting, holding your baby a lot. So what we're doing with the roller right now is called fascial rehydration. So your fascial tissue has many functions in your body, but first and foremost, it controls a lot of circulation. So if your feet were getting really swollen when you were pregnant, or if they're still really swollen, it's gonna start to kind of smooth out that system and get things working better. It really helps to open up tight muscles and give you access to strength. If something is over tight and over tense, it cannot be strengthened, right? It has to be opened up. Energy and fluid has to be able to move through it in order for it to function well, okay? So from here, you're gonna get down just above your knees. You're gonna skip your knees. Then you're gonna come down to your calves, okay? In the calves, you're gonna relax your body again, and I'm gonna bounce my knees up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, it's like I'm sitting in a chair swinging my feet up and down. This is a beautiful exercise for starting to open the lower 3 joints of your body, your hips, your knees, and your ankles, right? You can turn a little bit outward, you can turn a little bit inward, just gets right into the belly of the calf. You're just gonna use your legs to walk it down again, walk it down, go all the way down, all the way down. You're gonna work your way down until you get to the backs of your ankles. When you get to your ankles, you're gonna flex your feet and open and close. You're creating some friction on your Achilles tendon, okay? From there, take the feet to the roller. You're gonna roll in and out a few times. Just let it rinse out the bottom of the feet. You can step your feet in, give yourself a little hug around your knees, and then you're gonna roll to your left side. Set yourself up so you're lying on your side. If you feel like you need the roller underneath you to support you when you're lying on your side, you can definitely be here. If you feel like you're lying on your side and there's too much tension and pressure in your hips, or if you feel like it's hurting your neck and shoulders, you can come here. You can also go one step lower, which is bringing the roller just underneath your neck. Okay, so any of those options are available to you. Right now, I'm going to show you the most advanced version, which is supporting yourself on your side. In order to get into the side body, you need everything we just turned on in the middle body. It organizes everything. So find that pelvic corridor. You're going to see that my hips are stacked in the same axis, one on top of the other. My ribs, my shoulders, and my hips are all in the same plane. So this is one place where I really imagine being between two panes of glass. Okay? I'm going to take my top hand and I'm going to just remind that bottom rib cage to lift up. So there's some support in this bottom waist. This is the beginning of what a side plank would look like for you. We're going to soften the hip bones back. Remember that neutral pelvic line. I'm setting yourself up. I'm setting you up with intention here because I want you to feel that the hip flexors can really let go. This is about turning on your glute muscles, not about fatiguing your glute muscles. We will get to that, I promise. Right now, I just want you to put your hand on your butt and try to lift your top knee, and then put it back down. Your feet are together, nothing else is moving. You're again stabilizing yourself from your armpits to your hips. Now we're creating a movement from the glutes. If you have noticed that your glute muscles are not quite there for you the way they used to be, it's totally normal. Your butt muscles are the other half of your abdominal muscles. They're each other's friends in pair. When you lose one, you lose the other. So this is really essential for turning on this whole system back here again. Your glutes are an important muscle group. They help to create pelvic stability, and they help to create uplifted support so that shock and pressure from walking, from squatting, from running, from doing your life doesn't go down into your knees and ankles, but is actually coming from strength. Okay? You're going to do 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Once you feel like you've actually created a muscle contraction back there, you can check. Are your hip flexors gripping too much? Do you feel like you're starting to sag? Give it a little check. Come back in. From here, you're going to go ahead and lift up that bottom half of your leg. Okay? Now we're going to pull in, take a big breath, and you're going to lift it 10 times. So I'm making a contraction right here between my butt and my waist. Right? That was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Now you are going to take your roller. You're going to stick it out in front of you parallel, and you're going to take that leg you were just working on and put it out on top of your roller. Here you can come on down to your elbow and lie down. Okay? So my bottom leg is bent, and now I'm going to start to bend and lengthen my leg. Same little bouncy shape we were doing earlier, right, when we were rinsing out the hamstrings. This is light. I know it's going to want to grip. You're going to want to control this a lot. Ask your leg to let go. This is meant to feel good, maybe a little intense at the same time. Use your hand, pull that roller up, and continue. We're working up the inside of your shin, okay? You're going to keep doing this until you get right up to the inside of your knee. So I'm below my knee, right? And I'm rinsing, rinsing, rinsing. Now we're going to transition because I want to get up to my upper inner thigh. We're going to skip the knee joint. You ready? We're going to flip over onto your stomach, come up onto your elbows, and you're going to bring that roller up above your knee. I want you to see that my back foot is tucked under, and with that back foot stabilizing me, I'm just going to rinse myself up and down the inside of my inner thigh. If this is too intense on your hips and your leg doesn't come to this angle, you can work down here and still get a really similar effect. And over time, it will help you get to a higher level of opening, okay? So from right about in here, when you get the roller up to about mid-inner thigh, you're gonna find a really kind of sticky point, a point that is feeling kind of intense. You're gonna pause there, and you're really gently gonna bend and lengthen the knee again. It's gonna be a special place. Breathe into it, take some time. And then you're gonna come up a little further, and a little further, and then back out again. So you can just rinse all the way up and down a few times. Good. And then release out of that. Roll back to your side. We're gonna flip over and go to your other side. So you can push the roller away for a moment, or again, you can put it up underneath your rib cage if you need it. You remember what that looks like. It can be here for clamshells, or it can be underneath your head, okay? I'm gonna show you the more advanced version. Elbow underneath your shoulder, nice long side plank positioning, internally rotating those inner thighs, zipping up through your pelvic corridor, ribs are in. Once you feel the full expression of plank pose, but on your side. Take your hand, kind of lengthen out that waist, relax your shoulders, and then start to turn your glutes on, lifting and lowering the knee, okay? See if this is gripping. Once you take a breath, relax in there again, and then go for it again. One side is going to be a lot faster to respond than the other. That's totally normal. We tend to be one-sided, right? If you're right-handed, your right side tends to drive. If you're left-handed, your left side tends to want to take over, okay? Good. Let's do 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pause. You're going to lift the bottom half of your leg. Reset yourself. Is the bottom rib cage collapsing? Gather it up. Relax the neck and shoulders. And then from right up in here, we're going to lift and lower 10 times. 1, 2. I want you to see how relaxed my calf and my foot are. I'm really trying to focus the origin of movement up into the middle of my body. Last 3, 2, 1, and release. Take that roller back out in front of you. It's going to come out underneath the bottom of your shin. You're going to lie down onto your side, put your elbow down, and then you can start to rinse it out. And again, you can adjust the angle of this leg depending on your flexibility, okay? Just bending and lengthening, letting it feel good. Again, we're resetting your nervous system, right? We want the nervous system to be nice and relaxed and open. We want to give yourself some room to feel good, to breathe deeply. Good. Right up to the knee. And then we're skipping the knee, we're coming to the upper inner thigh. Come on in, you're gonna flip over onto your stomach here. So over onto your forearms, and then your back toes tucked under. It's gonna allow you to start to rinse up and down the inner thigh. There's a direct fascial connection between your inner thigh and your pelvic floor. Notice if your belly is really wanting to hang out here. See if you can give it a little bit of a hug up into your body again. Here we go. Pause in that middle point, that nice little sticking point that's really special and maybe a little bit painful. Bending and lengthening, bending and lengthening. Okay, nice deep breaths, open into it. And then we're gonna roll all the way up and down again, all the way up the inner thigh line, all the way back down. So my back leg, this grounded leg, is a little bit off the ground. I'm using my toes to help, and it's allowing me to glide up and down the roller. And then release out of there. Good. You're going to come from there. You're going to come out onto your hands and knees. You can take the roller out in front of you for a moment and just stretch yourself back into a child's pose. Just opening up. And then you're going to roll yourself on up. You're going to bring that roller up underneath the base of your pelvis, and you're going to lie down on your stomach. So the roller is going to catch me right up underneath my hip bones. My forearms are on the ground, I'm relaxing down, my feet are long. I'm gonna take a really big breath in, and I'm gonna start to try to find plank pose. We're working against gravity now for the first time. Here we go, pelvic corridor, all the way in and up. And you see that I'm gonna feel like my armpits are lifting up, my ribs are lifting up, and my pubic bone is rounding into the roller. We're gonna do that one more time. Big breath in, let it all go. As you exhale, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in, rounding your pubic bone down into the roller, finding length through your neck and your shoulders. Now you're really gonna work to let go of your head and your shoulders. You're gonna gather up the middle of your belly. Remember, we're taking the tension from the outer hips and moving them into the belly button, okay? From there, you're gonna start to turn on your glutes. One more time, these are your butt muscles. You're gonna relax the right leg. I want you to just try to make a muscle with your left butt. And from there, you're gonna lengthen the leg. Notice if this makes you want to drop your belly, okay? Resist that. Come back into it. Make a muscle with that left butt. Extend your foot as long as you can. Pull in the belly against that length. And then from the glute, you're going to just hover your foot off the ground. 5 little squeezes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Let it go, jiggle it out, other side. Lengthen that right leg out. You're internally rotating your inner thighs. That means the inner thighs are kind of pointing in towards each other rather than pointing away from each other, okay? That helps to organize the thigh bones into the hip socket and give you access to your gluteal muscles. Big breath in to recruit your pelvic corridor. Round in, make a muscle with your right butt. You're lifting it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and down. From here, you're gonna walk your forearms forward. Now we're actually working in some plank pose. If you have diastasis, this is totally okay. You're supported on the roller, and what I want you to start to look around for is that you can pull up from the belly. Open and close your legs. Walk your forearms forward again. Open and close your legs. Walk your forearms forward a little more. Open and close your legs. You're going right up above your knees. Don't go on your kneecaps. Now you can walk yourself back again. So again, we are teaching the body to unwind something that tends to be pretty tight, to relax into it, and instead favor the waist to do the work. A little bit of arm work too, never hurt. Here we go. One more time, all the way up, unwind, unwind, unwind. And all the way back down again as you exhale. Beautiful. Go ahead and walk yourself back so your knees touch. Come back, take your hands onto the roller, and take a child's pose from there. Allow that to open your armpits and your ribs as you breathe out. You're gonna roll on up. We're gonna line your belly one more time. You're gonna slide yourself on down to your stomach, and this time you're gonna take your arms out on top of the roller. They're gonna be about shoulder distance apart, a little wider than shoulder distance apart. Internally rotate those legs, what we just found. Find your pelvic corridor. You're gonna gather your waist in. Now I want you to lengthen your neck. Remember what we did earlier to turn on the shoulder blades? Now we're taking it a little further. Arms are long and they're not gonna move and the elbows are not gonna bend. You're gonna push the arms down, pull up through the waist, take a big breath in, and as you exhale, start to pull your shoulder blades down your back and lift your chest. And then reach your shoulder blades open and come back down. So as you see that what we're starting to do is turn on your back muscles, which are the other half of your core muscles, right? The other half of your abdominal muscles. So this is not just my back working, this is my waist working. I'm pulling my transverse abdominals around me. Remember to access your transverse abdominals, you come to the pelvic floor. Big breath in. Exhale, gather up that pelvic corridor all the way in. Ribs are steady, they're pulling down, they're anchoring me, and then I'm coming back down and out. So you can keep it really small, right down in here. As you get stronger, it can start to get a little bigger. Okay, 3 more, here we go. 1, 2, notice if it's going in your neck, go lower if it's going in your neck. 3, and release. From here, you're gonna let that roller roll away from you. Take your head down to the ground, take your hands underneath your shoulders, roll your shoulder blades together, and try on a little baby cobra. See what happens there for you. Come on back down, come back through your hands and knees. You're coming into a downward facing dog from here. Your hands are on the ground, you're gonna lift your hips and press yourself up and back. If your knees need to stay bent, go ahead, take them bent. What you're looking for is some extension of your arms and your legs. You're gonna go ahead and pedal around through your feet a couple of times. Just let this feel good. We've done a lot of little muscle isolation. This is a big body stretch, big full body stretch. So exhale, let it be there. From there, you're gonna take a little walk, one step at a time. Again, bend your knees as much as you need to. You may find that you need to lift the heels of your hands. You may find that your feet don't quite reach your hands, and that's totally fine. You can walk your hands back to meet your feet. Plant your feet down, take a breath, and be here in the forward bend. As you breathe in, I want you to find the waist. So you're pulling up through the belly, push into your feet, and roll on up to stand. Roll your shoulders a couple of times, breathe in. Take your arms all the way up into the sky, inhaling, and land at your heart as you exhale. All right, so now we're gonna grab a hold of your soft foot ball. Okay, so you're gonna take this little ball and you are gonna put it right in the middle of your foot and stand on it. Just let that feel good for a second. You may wanna bend your knees to just soften in so you're not locking out of this, okay? Take your hands to your hips, you're gonna breathe. You're gonna start to rock your hips around in little circles. So it just sort of rocks, so it's like you have a hula hoop on, and you're rocking your weight around over the top of the ball. And it's just gonna work its way into the arch of the foot. Okay, remember the fascial tissue I was talking about? This is part of that system. You have fascial tissue on the bottom of your feet. It runs all the way up your legs. It runs into the pelvis, into the back. And so when we want to rehabilitate this connection, this conversation between the feet and the pelvis, you want to rehabilitate the core, you want your whole body working as one unit again, this is an essential part. We've got to get the feet open, alive, happy, and part of the equation. Okay? So you're gonna shift your weight back from here. I'm gonna glide this ball up underneath the base of my big toe, and I'm gonna step on into it. And then I'm gonna do some points. I'm gonna shift my weight over, I'm gonna stick that ball underneath my second toe knuckle. So I'm on the ball of my foot, I'm not on my toes, okay? And I'm working down and I'm doing a press underneath each toe, underneath the pinky toe. And now I'm gonna do some points on the arch. I'm gonna go to my lower inner arch with the ball, sliding on in. And then I'm gonna go to my upper inner arch, sliding on in. I'm going to go to my outer lower arch now, right outside of my ankle, and step on in. Good. And then I'm going to go just in front of the heel. And from here, I'm going to keep the ball of my foot on the ground, and I'm going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over this ball. So I'm sliding around on the ball and letting it go back and forth and rinse out my heel. So what I'm also doing is turning my thigh bone inside of my hip. You can kind of see that I'm rotating, rotating, rotating. Again, organizing this relationship, reorganizing the relationship between your hip, your ankle, and your knee. Okay? From there, you're going to take that ball and you're going to start to scribble with it. So it's as if you were just scribbling, scribbling, scribbling with the bottom of your foot all over, all over, all over. You can get it under your toes, you can get it on the inner arch, outer arch, anywhere that feels good. Right? Take a breath and just step down into your feet from there. And take the ball underneath your second foot. The middle of your arch, take a step in, you're going to draw those circles again. So just rocking your hips around and around, and allow this to work its way up into your arch. If you're dealing with plantar fasciitis, this can be a really, really nice treatment for your feet, okay? From here, you're going to take your ball up underneath the base of your big toe. Step on into it, give it a little press. Second toe, give it a little press. Third toe, you're breathing, you're just letting the feet open up underneath you. Fourth toe, and pinky toe. Lower inner arch, so sliding to the inside of your foot, right into it. Upper inner arch, right into it. So you can do this anytime you want. Lower outer arch, I highly recommend it at night before you go to bed, rolling around on the balls with your feet. Your feet will thank you in the morning. They will feel completely different. Just in front of your heel, take a breath in. You're going to do the heel from side to side, side to side, side to side, side to side. So it's like I'm digging around, letting my thigh bone rotate, rotate, rotate inside of my hip. Okay? Nice deep breaths. Make sure you're still activating everything we've turned on up to this point. From here, you're going to take this ball and you're going to scribble with it. It's like you're just scribbling your foot out, 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 out. It can go up underneath your toes. It moves around a lot. You just sort of work around with it. Okay, there's no right or wrong here. For a moment, you can take the ball back underneath your other foot, rinse it out, rinse it out, rinse it out. Good. And then back over to your standing foot, your second foot one more time. Rinsing, rinsing, rinsing. Just working that all out underneath you. Take a breath. Go ahead and let your feet come evenly underneath you. You can set your ball aside and just feel that energy underneath you now. Go ahead and come down and have a seat from there. You're going to bring the soles of your feet together, open your knees out to the side, sit up nice and tall, take a big breath in, and as you exhale, you're going to round forward. As you're rounding forward, I want you to notice if it is your back that's been pushing you, or if you can feel some connection now from your abdominal muscles. We're going for an abdominal connection to forward bend, okay? So you can feel, again, your line from your pubic bone, belly button, rib cage, contracting in to help round and stretch your spine. Come on up as you inhale. Go ahead and take your left leg long out in front of you. Bring your right foot to your inner thigh. If it doesn't quite reach this high, that's totally fine. You can bring it down to your calf, okay? You're gonna sit up nice and tall, exhale, and again, it's an abdominal contraction that brings me forward and releases me in. Breathe into your low back, exhaling. Roll yourself on up from there. Extend your right leg out, bring your left foot in. Again, calf or upper inner thigh. Sit up nice and tall. Exhale, extend yourself on out. Big breath in. Exhaling. And roll yourself on up. One more, both legs long out in front of you. If you feel like you need a little bit of room, if you feel like you're kind of stuck, you can open up your feet again. If you feel like you can go a little more narrow, you're going here. Sit up onto your sit bones. Notice where your pelvis is in space, okay? This is a big key to moving forward. We want a neutral pelvis underneath you, and you know now know how to create that. You can send your pubic bone back, gather up your waist, find your rib cage. You can lift your arms over your head from your back muscles, and you can contract your abdominal muscles in to fold in half. Breathe into that. Exhaling. And roll on up. Well done. I'm so proud of you. Have an amazing day. Make sure you do your add-on video, and I'll see you tomorrow.